Coming to you live, ripping off another channel. Don't worry, the royalty check's in the mail. Welcome to Supreme Verdict. Here is your fighters, Johnny Sliver.
Hi, everybody.
And the card from the Coach Bazaar.
What are we doing? John, come on, man.
And special guest, Jason Eugene Alt.
That's enough of an intro, right?
No words necessary.
And here is your host, the man that got kicked out of junior high school for mooning the girls' PE class, Jon Dunning.
Damn, dude.
You're going to make me start a parody of Mark Rosewater's podcast. Why don't you call it Driven to Drink? Hi, welcome to Driven to Drink. I'm in the car. This is the only place I can get away from John calling me incessantly to do a podcast.
Welcome to 10th Street Hooligans, This is the first installment of Supreme Verdict. This is going to be our debate show. If you like ESPN Around the Horn or something like Movie Fights on Screen Junkies, you might like this. We're going to get down and dirty. That's why we invited Jason Alt on here, because he's never been nice to anybody. So he's perfect for this kind of thing, right? No? Okay. Let's go around the... Let's talk about
how you have no confidence in what even your trash talk.
I know. Like, right, guys? No one...
Do I have your permission to talk some smack? Come on, man. Lean into it. This is your show. I'm a guest here.
Please,
Don't
sir,
defer to me.
another.
I know. All right. Let's go around the horn, so to speak, and talk about our special guests. Johnny, what are you sipping on?
It's a magic hat. Well, here.
Okay.
Reading. It's an IPA like sampler pack. This one's the Soundcheck series. This one's Chill Switch, and it's all right. It's nice. It's Magic Hat makes some cool specialty stuff, and it's 6.4% alcohol. So that's a stouty beer. Yeah,
stouty beer.
Stouty, not stouty. Wrong word. Here, I'm off to it. Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy, just
drink over.
We are rusty. Coach, what are you sipping on?
Like I told you in the comment section of Twitter, Coca-Cola, and also have there we go, all the Oreos.
Oh my god!
Just
drinking Coke out of a mule mug. That's hard.
Hey! You watch your mouth.
Oh wow! At least he leans into it. Jason, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking my last can of Heady Topper from The Alchemist. I don't know when I'm going to get more of this. I had to do a PSA about ear damage on Brainstorm Brewery to have somebody send this to me. So I've been rationing this. It's my last can. It's like a hazy IPA, 8%. It's from Vermont. It's very good.
Nice. I am drinking. I usually Black Raven, as far as the brewery goes, has been a frequent guest on this channel. But this is the Tropical Squawker. It's a IPA. I think it's a 7.8%er. It's got springtime variation of our popular Squawker IPA. This beer is brewed with slightly less bitterness than normal, infused with passion fruit, guava, kiwi juice. So that is going to be nice. I'm getting my Hawaii on in the Pacific Northwest. So, gentlemen, how many of you, as far as the panel, are aware of what style game show are we doing? Have you ever seen Around the Horn, or have you ever seen Movie Fights?
I think anybody who's went to college knew their dormitory television in the cafeteria was always tuned to Around the Horn, whether you wanted it or not. Because some dude with no sleeves on his shirt was going to fight you if you tried to change the channel. So, yeah, I'm aware of it. Just I don't like it, but like...
See, I stayed away from those TVs because of the dudes without the sleeves, so I really don't know.
They were either watching that or Fight Club, right?
I'll probably figure it out.
I feel like if Fight Club's target audience was a person... It's like, hey, this movie's aimed at teaching you not to be such a dick, and they're like, dude, it was cool, and they blew up that building.
Credit card debt.
Let's call people snowflakes now.
All right. Well, just for anyone that hasn't, like Johnny and Coach, that haven't seen something like this, it's basically a debate show. I'm going to be asking. We're going to go 3 rounds. I'm going to be asking kind of an open-ended question, and each of them are going to have about 3 minutes or so to tell me why their answer is the right one. I will be judging this basically on not so much just like, yeah, I agree with you, but more so like the just the accuracy of the debate or you know, how their facts, their backup, and all that. Also, when we get to the third round is very important because the chat is going to be helping me judge that round. So I'm going to be looking to the chat, and you guys are going to be telling me if Coach Jason or Slivers will be moving on, because after we go through the initial 3 rounds, the last round is a head-to-head. So the person with the least amount of points through the first 3 rounds is eliminated, kind of just gets to be a bystander. And then it's a head-to-head to see who wins the episode, so to speak. So is everyone clear on the rules?
I'm already at 12%, so those are pretty good odds.
Yeah, we did a Twitter poll.
I'm thinking 3 minutes is an insanely long amount of time to speak on a topic.
You want to do 120 seconds?
60 seconds?
Minutes?
60 seconds, because we're going to
fit it into a paragraph. What are you doing it for?
Have you ever talked for 3 minutes?
I mean, yeah. Well, it's the maiden voyage, so we'll see how it goes. The one thing I didn't do. Does anyone have just a D6 handy?
A D6?
Yeah, I got spin downs for days. D6. Yeah, I do have a D6.
Okay, asking a bunch of Magic players if they have a D6 is rough.
Man, flavor fails abound.
D20s abound, but. So, hey, what's up, chat? We got MTG Strategist, Cardboard Paladins, King of Jank in the chat. We have Pixie Kitten, Eric Williamson, Dr. Efren. Everyone's showing up. So good. Everyone's
all right, got a D6 here. What am I doing with this?
All right.
Or is this just like a virginity test?
Well, we're going to go. So Johnny's 1, 2, Coach's 3, 4. Jason, you're 5, 6. This is how we're gonna determine who goes first. So go ahead and roll it, Jay. Yeah.
I rolled a 1.
1. So Johnny goes first. That's not an advantage. I think that's probably a disadvantage. And then roll one more time.
A 1. A 1. I think these dice are baked.
Jesus Christ.
5.
And a 5. Okay, so you're going second. So Coach, you're going third.
Cool.
1.
Best for last.
2.
That's my critical failure die, I guess. Like I always want to set up traps.
Dude, you would be awful at D&D if you just rolled those numbers.
All right, here we go. So we're going to go get everyone's arguments, basically. Then we're going to do a quick rebuttal round where we're going to go around again and kind of tell the person's going to tell why the other 2 people are wrong. And then we'll kind of do a closing thoughts on each round. So round 1, here we go. Roll that beautiful bean footage. The most powerful character in the multiverse, Johnny. Go.
You didn't tell us this was Vorthos. I thought this would be like, should the reserve list be abolished?
It's a smattering. It's Vorthos. It's everything.
Do you want a real answer? Do you want my answer?
I want the answer that's going to make you win, unless you don't care about winning.
The most
oh shit!
powerful.
Hang on, you got a quick reprieve because first I got to tell you about Cardsphere.com because Cardsphere.com is simply the best place to buy, sell, and trade your paper Magic the Gathering cards online. Also, go on over to inkedgaming.com, enter promo code HiveMindMTG, receive 10% off your custom playmats or anything else that cool that you find on that website. You could also directly support this channel on patreon.com, become a patron, and I'll figure out something to do with this show, but you get to ask questions for guests on the Hive Mind, like Rafael Garcia got to do, asking the proxy guy an awesome question. So there's some cool perks with that. Thank you so much, everyone. We are now at 1,000 subscribers on this channel.
We did it.
Woo! Awesome.
Yay.
Major contributions from especially everyone on this panel. But yes, okay. Johnny, real quick, do we have this is 10 Street Hooligans, so do we have a charity?
Yeah, let's get some screen sharing going on here.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so this month, since it's just been a hot mess for me, Rhino was at the Ronald McDonald House recently, and we are gonna put our little nod of the hat to the Ronald McDonald House because that's where they're going, and we want to support Rhino this month. And just the tail end of March, we're gonna be like, this is what they're doing, and they're gonna match. they went ahead and dropped 150 in. They had $50 come in. They'll match what I think. If I watch right here, you see this on their Twitter page. You go to Rhino's page on Twitter, you'll find the video, or you go to his YouTube channel, and they're gonna go dollar for dollar. I think, I believe I'm understanding that way.
Very
so
cool.
If then right here you can go to the Ronald McDonald House webpage. Their donate tag is right there at the top right hand corner. Yeah, that's what it is. Saves, don't skip a couple of booster packs and send some money their way.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Johnny. I guess your time is up as far as doing other things. Jump right into it, sir.
Am I back? Okay.
You are back.
The most powerful being in the multiverse is Tybalt. He is
wrong.
He is not. You know what? Everyone keeps crapping on Tybalt, but I when you get to watch someone ultimate a Tybalt and an affinity deck rage quits, it's beautiful. It is magical, and he's underappreciated. He's this underdog. You know what's going to happen? Everyone's going to blow each other up, and who's going to be left? Tybalt. That's it. He'll be the last double red planeswalker hanging out, being like, they thought I was nothing. So, yeah, that's my argument. Tybalt is the most powerful being in the multiverse. Final answer.
Okay. Tybalt for Johnny. Now we go to Jason. Most powerful being in the multiverse.
It's clearly Nico Bolas, right? Like Nico Bolas snuffs out other
answer.
Oh, I'm sorry that there's a correct answer.
Hey, we'll get to all the
I
argument.
didn't realize I was supposed to say Squee or some dumb shit because he's on more cards than Nico Bolas.
Hey, he has Undying.
There's no Nico Bolas' toy, man. I'm sorry, there's a right answer, and it's the most powerful planeswalker. I guess it's my fault he wrote the question that way.
Keep going,
Hey,
Jason.
what's the bluest color in Magic? What land taps for the most black mana? We could argue it's Nykthos or Cabal Coffers, man.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I guess this is my fault. Look, man, it's Nico Bolas. I'm sorry. Tybalt was going to be my joke answer, and he took it. Sorry. And I'm not a nerd, so I don't know who did the Great Mending or any of that crap. Like, I don't know who sacrificed their Planeswalker Spark to save planes or whatever. It's Nico Bolas. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
You don't see a whole Gatewatch of like 27 Planeswalkers teaming up to fight Tybalt. That's all I'm saying. There was no archenemy product when you're like, oh, the archenemy goes. I draw a card and discard 2 cards. Go. Like, that would be the worst. Tybalt archenemy would be the worst.
Man.
Everyone's discarding it randomly. No one knows what the fuck's going on. Like, it's disgusting.
Everyone stops fighting Tybalt. They just start fighting each other. It's like, this is boring.
Exactly what Tybalt wanted.
So that's your closing intro.
When you set this scheme in motion, take yourself off the cover of a comic book.
Very nice. All right, Coach. You've listened to how this goes 2 times now, so you should be nice and primed and rested. Let's go.
All right, we're going for a dead guy. All right, most powerful planeswalker.
Doesn't have to be planeswalker. Doesn't have to be It could be any being. Any being.
Well, this guy's dead, so definitely Yawmoth because he did it first when a group of planeswalkers had to like basically combine their forces and stop him. So Nico Bolas is like second step in here. He's like the backup quarterback when it comes to storylines. So I mean, Yawmoth did it first. He did it better. I mean, he's just prime suspect numero uno. He's probably still alive. We just assume he's dead. So, yeah, Nico Bolas sucks.
Ooh,
final answer.
Okay, well now let's stay with you, Coach, because we're going to go backwards now, and this is telling why Jason and Johnny are wrong.
Oh, so I rebuttal there.
Yeah, so now you're going to rebuttal.
Well, I kind of just did it with Jason already.
It's not my fault. You're an overachiever.
Like,
what do you want me to do?
Nico Bolas is second fiddle. So Yawmoth did it first, did it better, did it more explosively. Tybalt just sucks because Tybalt. That's the only reason I need. So yeah, there's that. Tybalt also is kind of dumb. He shouldn't be able to beat Chandra even with the comic book cover being controversial. So Tybalt still sucks, and he still sucks, and he still sucks. So John, your answer is wrong.
I got 7 reasons you're wrong. He sucks. He sucks. He sucks. He sucks. He sucks hard. And he sucks all day.
Sucks a little harder.
With feeling.
Yeah. Look me in the eyes in the next one. Okay. Jason, you're up next.
Okay, so yeah, Tybalt sucks 7 times over, but
we can all agree that
Yawgmoth kind of sucks too. Didn't Corona summon like 5 gods and he was the black one? So he's like sub Corona god tier. Like he's yeah,
because you don't have to be a lower level. You don't have to be a higher level to summon the other so gods.
Okay, so he's got an army of all these Phyrexian invaders. He's got all these minions. Nicol Bolas just is solo, just decimating planes by himself. Yawgmoth doesn't really travel all that much. He just kind of makes one plane a little bit oily in particular, whereas Nicol Bolas is cracking whole worlds in twain. I'm going to go with my man Bolas. Yawgmoth, he messed up like a little bit on like a planetary scale, but Nicol Bolas is like an interplanetary level threat. He's like the Thanos to Yawgmoth's like Silver Surfer or some bullshit.
Okay. All right. And Johnny, I try to tell them why they're wrong.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Yawgmoth never ever figured out how to go toe to toe with Uncle Istavan, and if he can't kill an Uncle Istavan, I'm not interested. And then, sorry, can't help you there. So
you said
there,
word,
I said words. Uncle Istavan, was the worst fog bank card ever, but he's still better than Yawgmoth.
He sounds like a Rob Zombie character from Magic Lore.
He probably is.
Crazed, deranged hermit with an axe and skulls. That's it. It's just this 1/3/1 triple black for a fog bank. So
are you officially changing your answer from Tybalt to Uncle Istavan?
No, I'm still on Tybalt. Tybalt is the
he can't really defend Tybalt right now though.
See, no. See, Tybalt is the scheme trickster. He's the one with he's all about like he works under like the code. He's not on the surface because everyone's like, oh, it's just Tybalt, but he's just scheming away, waiting for everyone else to destroy each other. And Nicol Bolas, Nicol Bolas can do all that plane shattering twaining he wants. He still can't get Tybalt because Tybalt's going to be hiding in the cracks where his big fat fingers can't fit. Sorry. Tybalt's a cockroach of Magic the Gathering. You cannot take him out.
I would have thought that was Squee.
Yeah.
Squee the Immortal.
Squee can't jump planes, man.
Not in his battleship called the Weatherlight. Yeah. Just saying.
Oh, man. We now know that why this was never attempted before. It's great. Okay, so this is my initial thoughts before I get your guys' final thoughts on this round. So Tybalt, because he's the cockroach, he just won't go away. He's like herpes. There's no shampoo to get rid of him completely. Jason's just basically saying you're going the Thanos route. Nicol Bolas is kind of been that overarching threat, that kind of inevitability.
He's the biggest big bad.
Sure. And then Yawgmoth is Yawgmoth really caused some damage. He's the one that kind of took a lot of the main cast out of back in the day. So that one is tough. First off, if I'm going to be honest, we're at a tie right now, just as far as points are scored. So let's hear your final thoughts, starting with Jason. We'll start with Jason.
My final thoughts?
Yes, on this round. Why you should win this round.
I should win this round because I selected the correct answer. Like, I'm sorry I got to the correct answer first, but I did. Like, no one cares about Yawgmoth. He's not in multiple sets as a character. He sucks.
The old sucks argument.
Because he doesn't need to be everywhere. He's just there.
Yeah, he's just like, I've been dead for 100 years. He's like, he's Tupac. But here's the thing. If Tupac had lived another 10 years and done like a Super Bowl halftime show with like Haley Duff, like everyone would be like, man, I guess Tupac kind of sucks now. And Yawgmoth died before he could become mediocre, whereas Nicol Bolas has ascended into his final form and he's about to destroy 32 planeswalkers and only leave one alive in the War of the Spark, as far as that candle metaphor goes. So we'll see. I don't think Yawgmoth could kill 31 planeswalkers. Just saying.
Sure, Tybalt apologist. Your final thoughts.
Apologist. you can snap your fingers all you want. If you keep missing the Tybalt, it's not good enough. Sorry, not working. And you know what?
You got a point for confusion.
Yeah. Jason is right on one thing. Yawgmoth's been dead for forever. So
there we go.
No, sorry. Dead man dead.
Dead man dead.
Impression of Tybalt after this. Oh, I don't feel so good.
Nice.
He's like, Coach, Bolas had to kill me because no one's going to waste a removal spell on a 2-mana planeswalker.
Oh,
I wouldn't even bolt Tybalt. Wouldn't bolt him.
He's so powerful. He's not even a target for removal. Coach,
what's his ultimate do? No one even knows because no one's ever ultimated a Tybalt.
Because no one wanted to pick him up. No one wanted to get up on it. It's terrible.
So I want to discard my whole hand to see what happens here.
It's probably like the most powerful thing ever, too. It's like, oh shit, we've been doing this wrong the whole time. Yeah. All right, Coach, bring us home on this round.
All right, let's see what I got. All right, so let's start with this. Bolas was already an Elder Dragon, so he was already in this big epic war. So genetically, he was already born with good stuff. Yawgmoth, however, had to work for everything. He had to basically learn the front and back of anatomy, medicine, science, biological sciences, worked his way up, and basically created a whole new race, which then proceeded to mess up the entire multiverse all on his own.
So he failed.
So he worked. So basically, he had to be more intelligent, more intuitive. He had to be very creative, and he basically worked his way up to greatness instead of Bolas kind of already being up there. Like, he was already genetically talented. He was already good. Yawgmoth had to work his way up. All right. So deserves some respect. And on top of that, he totally messed up the multiverse, killed a lot of planeswalkers during the Apocalypse storyline. And the fact that we're still talking about him today, even though he hasn't been on a card ever, except for not as a planeswalker, not as a creature. And so he gets subtle little backgrounds. The fact that we're still talking about him, he's left a very important legacy. So Yawgmoth for the win.
I think we're still talking about him because Dominaria came out less than 12 months ago.
All right. Okay, so here we go. The chat is clamoring for Tybalt to win this, of course. Because the chat. But so Johnny,
I found my 24%.
Johnny, it's fair. It's safe to say that you did not win this round. I mean, if we're just going strictly, it was a very entertaining choice. But if the question is, what is the most powerful entity in the multiverse, and the person that convinced me those, it was razor thin, really, really close. Coach, you sold me the everyman, this person that kind of came up through the ranks and achieved this goal. But Jason and Johnny both said he did fail, so I have to give Thanos the win. So Jason takes round one.
Dirty.
Doesn't feel good. I picked white privilege. I was the guy trying to close the ski resort, and then Coach was like, "What about the plucky kids with the breakdance competition?" Nope.
Yeah, Grix's privilege right there. Yeah. So Jason's got one round. Okay.
That didn't feel good. Doesn't feel good.
Hey, as long as I beat someone and it's not a shutout, I'll be extremely happy. Because I started off with a 12% in the Twitter polls. All right, so I'm doing pretty good right now.
So I guess the most salty, they're more salty about how the Twitter poll landed than the actual rounds are going. So Jason ran away in the Twitter poll, so they were, the hooligans.
Yeah, I got more Twitter followers. Imagine that.
I just have to beat one person, and that's it. I just got to be in the middle.
You tell me the most Twitter followers did the best in a Twitter poll?
Yeah, I mean,
insane.
say that you won against Tybalt too. Is
I'm like the Nico Bolas
No.
of Twitter, and you're like the Young of the Twitter.
Hey, I'd rather
Don't
beat
worry about
Tybalt.
that 12%. That's a
I'm just
plucky
saying, I'd
homegrown
rather-
12%.
I'd rather beat Tybalt than get beat by Tybalt.
There we go. Yeah. Well, according to the chat, you both lost to Tybalt, but luckily they're not judging until round 3. All right. So number 2. So Johnny went first. So we'll go Coach 1. How should we do? Okay, so
just rotate it.
Yeah,
Just do
rotate.
like do like Jason first, me second, and then Johnny third, and then work backwards that way.
Sounds good.
Same order, but a different starting point.
Yeah, this is maiden voyage again. We're working out the kinks on the spot. Number 2. What's the worst set in Magic's history, Jason?
Okay, so everyone's gonna say some Kamigawa set, and that's BS. Homelands is the worst set in Magic history. Like, I don't care, like, oh, it introduced us great characters like Joven. No, man, Homelands. The rares were all bad. You couldn't even tell what the rare in a pack was. There were eight card packs. And that's when I was buying stuff. They're like, if you buy a gift set, you get a booster pack. I was like, oh, wow, a booster pack. And so I paid $20 for the gift set. And they're like, here's your booster pack, kid. 8 cards, or may not be a rare. And maybe a 4/4 creature that gets -1/-1 when it attacks and costs 17 mana. There you go. But don't worry, you might get Joven's Ferrets. It had legends, but so what? They were all terrible legends. They're like, oh, here's the lazy vampire family. Here's all the Sengirs that don't do shit. They're like the Kardashians of the Magic universe. They had the lazy layabout Sengirs. Half the creatures were black. Everything was terrible, and it was just like every non-Sengir creature was like, I'm a 1/1 farmer for 3 mana. But don't worry, if you cast my Magic Tavern, you could gain a life every time 2 creatures die. Homeland sucked. Fallen Empires at least had cards we still used. Name a card other than Merchant Scroll out of Homelands people still use. You can't do it. It's the worst set. And it had the audacity to have a card in there. It's like, destroy all cards from the Homelands expansions. Oh, for real? We're going to be using permanents from Homelands later that will need a whole chime to destroy them?
Very nice.
No, my copy of Dwarven Pony wiped out by a 3-mana artifact. It's the hubris. No, man. Fallen Empires had High Tide, it had Goblin Grenade, it had Order of Labor, for God's sake. There's so many cards in Fallen Empires that are way better than anything in Homelands. Homeland sucks. I'm sorry that I got to go first.
You got to pick correctly again.
Yeah.
So now we're on Coach, right? Is that what we decided? All right. Worst set in Magic's history, sir.
Worst set Magic history, Fallen Empires. Because I can't pick Homelands. I would probably take it and took it away. So now I have to think on the fly. Well, like going from like this huge decrease in power, going from what was it, the Darkened Legends, and going even before that, like the core sets, which were overpowered ridiculously. When they came out with Fallen Empires, that was just a crapshoot. And it was awful. And there's a couple cards in there, but I mean, Fallen Empires just no bueno, in my opinion. Like, now Homelands did a lot of stuff, I guess, with the storyline going on. I think it was Olgrotha. So at least there was like a good background to it. Fallen Empires was just coming off the dark was just no bueno. But obviously, I couldn't pick Homelands because someone had to take my pick.
Someone had to go first.
You don't want to convince me that Jason is right. You're trying to convince me that you're right.
It's kind of hard when he probably picked the correct answer. So, but yeah, I remember doing the card anthology for this and doing Homelands and Fallen Empires, and they were just both terrible sets. Like, there were no real noteworthy cards on either of them. But at least Fallen Empires, had I take that back. Homelands had a pretty good, a little bit of a good story, flavor text. And kind of when Innistrad was coming off of it, that's what that's what Homelands was supposed to be, was the Innistrad. So at least there was a good outline. It was there. It was just wasn't executed right. Fallen Empires just was Fallen Empires. So it was a god awful set.
All right, Johnny, the producer, JTP.
I would have to say the most uninspiring set would have been Born of the Gods. So,
ooh, spicy.
It's just felt like I played a little bit. I was kind of just getting out of standard, and Born of the Gods was there when it happened, and it just felt like literally the inspired mechanic. You can wait until your creature untaps, and you get a thing, and you have to pay mana to do it. That and what is it? I think most of the rares are 50 cents. The thing didn't hold any value. It were just, I don't know, outside of Gods and the Scrylands, it's kind of it's a punt, only rivaled by maybe Gate Crash. No, Gate, the third one that I don't remember the name.
Dragon's Maze. And I'm docking you a point for not knowing that.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm just kidding.
Sounds
harsh
fair.
But fair.
I'm not expecting to get past the third round. It's okay. So yeah, I'm gonna put my vote in on Born of the Gods because at least with Dragon's Maze, you had a chance at a Shockland. So
yep,
Born of the Gods only has one card over $10 to answer your question.
Is that true? But I thought all the gods are expensive at this point. Like Athreos.
Fenix is $8. Karametra is like $6.
Athreos is like 30, right?
Farah is like 2. Xenagos is like 50. Athreos wasn't in Born of the Gods, was it?
Yeah, it was. No, maybe not. Maybe Thera. No, yeah, it should be in Born of the Gods.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, don't forget about that sweet Chromanticore.
Oh no, maybe it was in Journey.
It was in Journey to Nyx. I'm
all the gold gods
for not knowing that.
Yeah.
Shame on you for not derp.
Everyone gets a point. Okay. So we'll go back now. So no, we'll go to
Slivers,
Jason for
No, you wheel. You have
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what you did last time. So wheel.
Yeah. Johnny.
You just talk now, talk again. Yeah.
Why is Coach and Jason wrong with Homelands and Fallen Empires?
Well, Fallen Empires is easy because, points that Jason made. You have your Goblin Grenades, you've got your High Tides, you've got your Hymns of Torax, you've got this and that, and there's still some things in that set that had some relevance. So, like even like back when it was in Standard, you had what was it? They had back in that Standard a 3/2 for 3 CMC was actually okay. Sure. So it had those, so you could make that work. And then Homelands, I mean, you had those sweet Trilands.
Sorry. Oh, the ones you had to pay 2 colorless mana to get one of the mana.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Eisen Abbey for life, yo. I ripped that wizard school.
No, I mean, Homelands, at least you've got Chain Stasis, so that you can do some weird stuff with that. And they had Minotaurs. They had the Didgeridoo. You can basically Didgeridoo your whole Minotaur deck into play, which is now relevant because we had sets like the block of the Theros Greek stuff.
Oh, because of Born of the Gods, we have interesting.
Yeah, right. My worst set made your worst set better.
Okay. We're wheeling. We're going to Coach or Jason. I've lost track.
I went first, so I go last.
Yeah. Coach.
All right.
Why is Johnny and Jason wrong? God, I got a lot of J's on this show.
Well, Johnny's wrong because the newer sets are at least making a little bit of a resurgence. But couple of the older sets, Homelands and Fallen Empires, they were just awful. And let me give you some numbers since I like numbers a lot. All right. So as far as Fallen Empires, why it's the worst set. Right now, its current value is actually lower than Homelands.
Ooh.
Wall of Kelp is $6, and that's a Homelands card. Coaxin Falls, $5.90. Didgeridoo, $4. Baron Singer, $3.50.
Oh God!
Here's the Fallen Empire stuff. Elvish Farmer, the highest card on there, $4.21, and then it goes Rainbow Veil, $4. Fungal Bloom, $2.65. Aeolipoli, $1.87. Yeah, numbers for you. So right now, Homelands, as far as value, is holding up a little bit better than Fallen Empires. So now there's still more cards that could be used out of Homelands than Fallen Empires. Hence why Fallen Empires is the worst set in Magic's history. You're welcome.
How many times did they reprint Goblin Grenade?
I can look that up for you. And But yeah, that's
some facts, man.
So,
all right, Jay, take us home.
So what Fallen Empires had going for it that Homelands didn't was irrelevant tribal synergy. Even though it was sort of like a little bit worse on the story front, maybe because it had, it didn't have the legendary creatures Homeland had. What Fallen Empires had was relevant tribal synergy. And in fact, a lot of players built their first tribal decks with the help of Fallen Empires. You really couldn't do it just with the core set. You had Lord of Atlantis, but you didn't really have enough merfolk. So what Fallen Empires did was teach us, hey, we built a goblin deck. We got goblin grenades. We got the goblin shrine, all that kind of stuff. And hey, we have the Thalids deck. If you put 4 fungal blooms and 4 elvish farmers and 4 Thalid shooters, all of a sudden you got a real deck you could build around. You got the thralls. That was a relevant tribe, and whatever was in white. Who even knows at this point? Knights, maybe
humans. Acadia.
Yeah. So the Acacians, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A bark-based tribe, I guess. The acacia bark.
They're like
they're made of barley.
They're like, well, isn't Acadia like Viking / like Scandinavian kind of like?
I'm gonna defer to you on this.
Damn.
It turns out I'm mostly a finance guy, so you came at me with a finance argument, so I'm gonna come at you with the Vorthos argument. You can't make a tribal-based synergistic deck that hangs from Homelands. All the cards were disparate. And sure, later as a meme, Wall of Kelp is good because of the Arcady Sabbath deck, but the stuff in Fallen Empires actually hung together as a deck. And Born of the Gods, come on, that wasn't even Are we taking that
we shouldn't take it seriously.
Sorry, I'm sorry you didn't have any fun playing
answer.
that, but inspired as a mechanic versus name a mechanic from Homelands. What was it put a -0, -1 counter on creatures?
Cumulative upkeep.
They still had
cumulative upkeep the first time that was Ice Age, I thought.
But I think it returned in Homelands though.
Homelands was before Ice Age.
Maybe.
Oh,
I thought Homelands was before Ice Age.
It was something bad though. I don't know.
No.
Nothing good.
Yeah, so you could actually make a lot of people starting out that were playing around that time built tribal decks from Fallen Empires cards, which Homelands gave you nothing. It's I got Autumn Willow. That was what we had back in the day. So even though
was also in the past, Jason. Now we look to the future, and Homelands looks a little bit better. Needed only 20-something years of grooming first.
It needed 2 memes. It took 2 memes. It took the didgeridoo meme, and it took the Arcady Sabbath meme. So don't let your memes be dreams, or they'll ruin your argument, I guess. I don't know.
Wow. With the fun game at the end.
Also, Johnny, to answer your question, Goblin Grenade was printed Fallen Empires, Anthologies, and Magic 2012, and Dual Decks Merfolk versus Goblins. So 4 different times.
That's a lot.
That was a lot. All right, so before we get the final thoughts, just going through my initial thoughts on this round. So Johnny going with Born of the Gods. I commend you coming in third, or answering third, going for Born of the Gods, because Born of the Gods was hot garbage. I remember
that's a high degree of difficulty pick. You're really not setting yourself up here.
I mean, what
that's the Tybalt of bets.
Basically, I'm actually, for this game show, I'm playing Tybalt Tribal, so that's how this is working.
Perfect. What would Tybalt do? He would
throw himself under the bus.
That's gonna be our new wristbands. What would Tybalt do?
No, but if you all remember, when Theros came out, I mean, Theros had a tough that whole block had a tough time because it was following up Perfect Magic, at least in my opinion. That was in Return to Ravnica and M13 and all that. It was just fantastic. That was right when Innistrad rotated out, and then you got Theros. So it had a lot to live up to, and I think it did a pretty good job. That's when we got all these devotion decks, mono blue, mono black, and then once we got to Born of the Gods, it was a complete fart in the wind, and it was just such a letdown because I think Theros kind of earned its way and paved its way. We're just okay, we were just having so much fun with the prior format, so to speak, and then once Born of the God comes, it just takes a shit on everyone's dreams. So I'm saying I'm liking the pick. It's a tough pick, but like everyone said so far, it's so hard to put that up against being a big of a dud as the other two. Coach, I love.
Well, the one thing I will say is like they knew how to make good Magic cards when they made Board of the Gods. They didn't have a clue how to make good Magic cards when they made Fallen Empires and Homelands. They didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, kind of like this podcast. This is the Fallen Empires.
I think you meant the Homelands.
Right. Oh, or did I? Love the stat route you're going. Fallen Empires, yes. I'm a little disappointed that you didn't mention Ebon Parader, just tackling this from an art standpoint, because it was just all over the place and really weird. But and then Jason, you said at least in Fallen Empires they had some tribal going on, which is a point. And Homelands, yeah, I mean, if the best thing in your set is Autumn Willow, it's hard to argue against that. But let's get the final thoughts. Staying with Jason, if we're going to wheel again.
I was much more upset to be handed a pack of Homelands. And like the audacity of Apocalypse Chime is very offensive to me. And that trumps all other arguments. The fact that they're like, oh, hang on, how are we going to deal with permanence from this set? I know. Let's have a whole artifact that just gets these troublesome 3-mana 2/1 creatures off the board. And the fact that exists just offends me on such a fundamental level. And the fact that
on the other end where the designers are like, we got to get these cards off the table. What can we create?
Yeah, how can we deal with a 7-mana 6/4 creature? That's the biggest thing they've ever printed. It's like Symmetry Scars them, but with First Strike. So, yeah, man. I just think Apocalypse Chime is the audacity of it is my final thought.
Slivers, final thoughts? Oh God,
he snorted.
Get a grip.
Snorts are good. As a comedian, snorts are good. It's involuntary. Like snorting is like the squirting of the comedy community. I like that more than a laugh. So if I made him snort, that's my point.
I'm just thinking Jason all offended on sheer principle alone. That's beautiful.
I don't stand for much.
Yeah, personally affecting Jason.
But the audacity, sir. The sheer audacity.
Good day, sir.
I bite my thumb at your chime, sir.
All right, Coach, bring us. I assume, Johnny, you're done? Like that's
I was done before I got here.
He's incensed that I'm incensed. I like it.
Coach, it looks like it's a 2-on-1 at this point. So bring us on.
I mean, it's...
fucking cackling carnarium for real over here.
All right, so even the designers, and you can go look back this on Gamepedia. So to me, Homelands is slightly better.
Shut up, Johnny. You're gonna mute your ass. All right, go ahead.
Because Homelands was the backbone design-wise to one of the best sets in Magic, which would be Innistrad. Fallen Empires was the backbone to. You can't come up with an answer. So
because I'm not a nerd, I'm sure there's an answer. I just don't know.
Homeland was the softball toss to lead us into Innistrad. Okay, Fallen Empires, it got nothing. All right, it couldn't even lead up to something good. Okay, so yeah, at least Homeland led us.
Was it the same plane? How exactly did Homelands lead into Innistrad? Did they just like the idea of
it was Ratha and Innistrad's a different thing.
Well, it was the Gothic theme, the Gothic movie horror theme. That was what Innistrad was supposed to be. What Homelands was supposed to be, basically Innistrad,
right? And
so that same theme, the same themes that were going on with like the vampires and with like the darkness and like the kind of those like the not Cthulhu, like the Lovecraftian kind of ordeals. That was what's supposed to be Homeland was supposed to be about. And Innistrad would come back later on and kind of be Homeland's plus like several notches. So it was mostly the darker theme.
Homelands felt like Eastern Europe and Innistrad felt like Western Europe to me.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Gothic. All right.
Like Romanian vampires versus like Germanic vampire lore. I don't know. What do I know?
It's the training wheels versus a racing bike.
Welcome back, Johnny. Okay, so round 2.
Yeah, he came alive when he heard we were shitting on Eastern Europe. He's like, "What? I can handle this one." Stupid Slavs. What?
Oh, there goes the chat.
Hey, that's what he said, not me.
Yeah. That's what he. The
I
first
found.
Netflix
I did 23andMe, and I found out that I'm like part Eastern European. So,
nice.
yeah, I have great respect for the Eastern Europeans.
Wait, so are those Slavs?
Now.
I'm not sure. Or is that where the Slavs live? Eastern Europe?
Yeah,
I
man.
don't know. Okay, well there you go. So he offended you, Johnny. You know what? I have to say you started out really strong. You were getting some really good points. Points for just picking Board of the Gods, anyways.
I'm boned because he's hanging in there with me, and now Coach gets to pick first on the third round. That's gonna.
You were doing good, Johnny. But I mean, just have to call it. It was closer than you think, but Johnny, you were the lowest man again.
That's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Coach, you brought it with the facts. Some real good and I like the whole tie-in where we essentially wouldn't have Innistrad, which is arguably one of the greatest Magic settings in all time. You could argue that against Ravnica without Homelands. Jason, you were correct too. It's just like it was horrible cards across the board. Just from a purely like opening packs card wise, Homeland is you might as well just put a lump of coal in there because it's just the worst. But Coach's argument does pull out by a hair, so Coach takes round 2.
Ooh,
yeah,
pulling hairs.
That's the only thing I'm gonna win. That's it. I get to lose in the last round because
I didn't win when I picked first, so I'm in trouble now. I'm going third now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you didn't go first last time, and then Johnny picked Tybalt first. So it's like picking Jamarcus Russell.
Yes, from LSU. Oh God, he was the terrible pick.
Don't worry, Jason. I'm here, so you're basically just in a head-to-head with Coach.
That was what I've been worried about all day.
So round 3 is going to be a nice warm-up for the two of you. I don't know. Maybe Johnny Slivers could play a spoiler for this round or something.
Then you have a 3-way tie, and then you realize the way you set up the show doesn't mathematically work out.
That's true. Well, that's what the chats were. They get,
and you're just going to be like, "Yeah, Maiden Voyage."
Maiden Voyage. Oh God!
The chat said that Johnny won round 1 with his Tybalt pick because I don't think the chat's going to be all too friendly to me.
If Johnny won with the Tybalt pick, like we would all be in trouble, Jason. All right, let's just make that straightforward.
With facts and arguments.
Up is down, left is right. No.
Mass hysteria. Okay, so who hasn't gone first yet?
Me.
Coach, right? Yeah, okay. So if you could pick one card to be released from the reserve list,
oh God,
what card would it be?
What card?
Yes. One card to be reprinted from the reserve list. Which one would you want to see?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Thanks.
Well, there's so many good cards. I don't want to pick
there are
like
a lot of bad
Lotus,
ones on
that's
the
like
reserve list too.
that's like the $25,000 card that once you re-release it, it's just gonna crash in price, and those collectors are just gonna like flip their shit.
Oh,
Sure.
Ooh, I kind of want to see. Just let's go for it. Let's go Time Walk.
Wow.
Just extra turn, 2 mana. Let's go. Just plain simple. Just get an extra turn out there and just go blue.
That is your opening?
Yeah, Time Walk. It was either Time Walk or is that draw Ancestral Recall would be just draw 3 for 1, which is ridiculous. I think Time Walk needs an extra little hit to it, but I'm going Time Walk with my answer. Let's go for it.
Okay,
right.
Johnny, you're up.
I just only one that comes right to the top of the list for me is Mox Diamond. I would love to see a Mox Diamond reprinted, even if they like dropped it into a Modern Horizons set type thing. But just to give people, it's one of those cards that you want. I want to see more Moxen than just the Opal, the other one, and then what is it? Mox Opal, Mox Chrome. A Chrome Mox, Chrome Opal Mox, and then Mox Amber, as far as what people have just access to in terms from speaking from EDH.
So this is the one from Stronghold, right? Mox Diamond.
Yeah, this is the one from Stronghold. It was on the reserve list. It was one of those, you know, back a couple of years ago when the buyouts started hitting really hard. That was one of the ones that got hit hardest or earlier, right? Jason would know more about this one, but
I'm not going to help you.
All the good, all the good ones got bought. Were getting snapped up. Mox Diamond or the Mox Diamond 5. When did I get back in? I got back into Magic back in like 2010. Mox Diamond you can still find for $20. That thing's a $200 card now.
No.
But at least or something. So it's in that ballpark. It's got to be. Last time I saw it was around
Diamond, or is it Lion's Eye Diamond?
No, not Lion's Eye Diamond. Lion's Eye Diamond.
Can you look up the price, Coach?
Lion's Eye Diamond's counting on the graveyard shenanigans. So like that, you know, that's a very specific kind of line of play that people are going with, especially with that card, because I think there's like actual graveyard decks built specifically for that.
Mox Diamond from Stronghold, $202, and then from the Vault Relics, $228.
Yeah, that's
the Mox Diamond is when the Mox Diamond, when you play it, I think you need to pitch a land from your hand, and then you get this rock on turn 1 that just makes any color that you need. This is something that just would be perfect in EDH, and if people had more access to it, they play more of it. But it's one of those cards that people just yank out of the decks because it's on the reserve list. They don't want someone walking off with their deck with a deck full of reserve list cards. I know people in my play group who just stopped playing reserve list cards because of that reason. A card like Mox Diamond would just give people a new toy to play with in EDH, and it's a $20 card. I'm sorry. This is not a $200 card. It's only $200 because it got bought the hell out. There it is.
Wow, Slivers coming alive. Talk reserve list, and he gets a pulse. Jason, bring it
Mox Diamond it's an invalid response because they did reprint it in the From the Vault, so it was an attempt to try to circumvent the reserve list. There was a heavy backlash surrounding it, so that was a reserve list card that was reprinted outside the reserve list. They're like, we never said we couldn't reprint them as foils, and everyone's like, eat shit. So Mox Diamond actually was reprinted. So
Johnny loses again.
I would say if we're going to
let it fly,
if we're going to do it, let's not fundamentally undermine the spirit of the reserved list to the extent that we can. So let's pick a very recent card, I would say. So if you pick Power 9, it's like, well, that undermines the stability of the entire reserve list. If you eliminate one card from the Power 9, you might as well eliminate the entire reserve list, which would have catastrophic effects for the entire secondary market. I think if you could probably safely do a bad card, and that might be a little bit better. But if we're going to blow up the whole reserve list, which would be really bad, the one thing we could get out of it, I would say, was let's serve the most formats. And I think the card that serves the most formats is Gaia's Cradle. That's an EDH staple, and that's also a legacy card, and that's also a cube card. Gaia's Cradle gets played the most out of, probably most of the cards on the reserve list. You could pick something that's kind of narrow, like, Metalworker or Replenish. Something from the Urza sets. You could pick something that's very narrow, like Gilded Drake. That wouldn't affect too much because it only gets played a little bit in Legacy. But I think if we're going to blow up the whole reserve list, let's get a card that the most people want, and I think the most people would get the most out of a Gaia's Cradle reprint. Let's make that a $25 card again.
All right, perfect. Okay, let's go for rebuttals, starting with Jason. Keep the mic. Why are Coach wrong?
Well, I don't think you can do a Power 9 card because I think that undermines all the that people are going to dump their dual lands, they're going to dump their Power 9. If you do that, they're like, oh, the reserve list isn't safe at all. I think anything on the reserve list that you reprinted, it would threaten it. But I think the strongest signal you can send that the whole reserve list is screwed is a Power 9 card. So I think I want to send the weakest signal, so people will still panic a little bit, and then they'll sell me their collections, but they won't completely blow up the whole secondary market.
Sure.
So I think a recent card like Gaia's Cradle is the best for not fundamentally undermining the entire secondary market. And like I said with Mox Diamond, that was actually already reprinted, and it's $200 because it goes out in play sets. It's just a 4-of card. That's just what happens, and we've got multiple printings of it. There's supply out there, and if it has the greatest chance of becoming obsolete, I would say, out of R2. I think it's a little bit easier to print a fairer Mox that could take the place of Mox Diamond, but still, Modern Horizons makes me think they could print a Mox for Modern that's fair for Modern without ruining Standard. So I think you could probably make Mox Diamond obsolete without having to take it off the reserve list. You can't really do that to a Power 9 card, and I don't think you could do that to Gaia's Cradle because they sort of tried, right, with that enchantment that flips into a Gaia's Cradle. So I think Cradle is really the only pick.
All right, Johnny, you're up.
First of all, let me make my personal opinion available on something like From the Vault, and I don't classify that as a reprint when it is not anything that's not a standard set. It's not reprint for me, because I'm looking at the prices right here. The price between your mint From the Vault versus a Stronghold, they're basically neck and neck. So that reprint didn't affect price. Nobody had major access to that. That was one of the earlier From the Vaults, if I recall. So there wasn't a huge printing of that to begin with. That was so minuscule. That was just like, oh, look, we made a reprint. No, you didn't. You didn't make a reprint. It's a From the Vault. That's not reprint. It's a master set. There's not enough to just dent the market. So not a reprint. It's like
it's because the prices wouldn't be different. No, but the prices are the same because like people are going to buy the cheapest copy until there's equilibration in the market price.
So there's still this $200+ card that would just be a great Mox for people to have more access to if it was printed in a bigger set. Like that's a sweet card in limited print run based on the age of the original set and the fact that it came out From the Vault. So, and one of the early, I don't know the print runs on all the From the Vaults. I think they started making more as they got more popular towards the end, but that's just my guess. I don't see From the Vault being classified as, and like you said, that made the whole point of, people have this backlash. It just reinforced reserve list. So I don't that doesn't, where the hell am I going with all this?
How are you going with this?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Here I go. I started strong and here we go. It'll be good for me to go get another beer and just watch you guys go at it.
Tibble took over. So
Tibble took over. He has
2 cards in hand, but he discarded 2 of them and only drew 1.
He works the back of the skull where you can't see him. Anyway.
All right, so, Coach. Oh, sorry, you weren't done.
The Gaia's Cradle, if they're gonna go Gaia's Cradle, they might as well go all those lands from that set. So there. And
but he didn't say which 3 cards.
What lands? What are you talking about?
There's 5 lands in that cycle. It's the Academy.
Cycle,
yes. That cycle of lands. You've got
the
White Enchantment land. You've got
go
for all of them.
And we all know how the Tolarian Academy went.
Yeah, and I don't. Which one did Coach say? I can't even remember. Oh.
I can't
Johnny, what was the proof of that beer?
Yeah. The most disrespectful diss of your argument is like, it's so bad.
Now
it only took him 45 minutes to come up with that.
I know. It only took me 45 minutes. It didn't involve saying time all sucks 7 times.
Yeah. Oh wow, Johnny's beside himself. All right, Coach.
You gotta say Time Walk sucks 9 times.
9 times.
Yeah, that's how you should have finished off, Johnny. But no, can't come up with that one.
No, no.
No.
All right,
great rebuttal. He put
the
butt
noises at this point. You want to talk, Coach, or what?
Oh, do I get the mic now?
Yeah,
like, I was just waiting. I was just waiting for Johnny to finish whatever gibberish was coming out of his mouth.
I'm just gonna mute myself.
You should lose a point for the ad hominem, sir.
Johnny's on timeout. Coach, bring it home.
All right. Why Time Walk?
Okay.
Because it's awesome. Everyone wants that extra turn in 1 to 2 turns.
I think this is the rebuttal phase, but I don't want
Is it the rebuttal phase?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys say why I'm wrong.
Johnny, you're wrong. Yeah.
Why Gaia's Cradle? Because it would come out, it would be the same thing as like the Tolarian Academy, where it's just all this stupid, gigantic crap just in one fell swoop. Like, wait, we know. Let's look at the Urza set. we know how the Academy played out. Broken. Absolutely broken. Same thing's going to happen with Gaia's Cradle. You don't want that. You do want a Time Walk. I don't know why I said that, but you definitely want a Time Walk. Time Walk's nice. It's great.
Yeah.
It's not the most expensive like Power 9 card. You can still, just like with any card, you could still counter it. And if you're coming off of if you're going on a Time Walk, which is a sorcery speed, it could still be countered. It could still fall into the trap like anything else. It's not like incounterable. Gaia's Cradle, I mean, like, that's just one of those cards that is going to fall. Like I said, it's going to a lot of mana ramping for very, very, very cheap. And when we see something like that, it's just, and it's a land too on top of that. So it's like, you can't even, it's not even the way you get out of Gaia's Cradle is you got to destroy the land, which is a lot harder to do than countering something like Time Walk. So it's having something like Time Walk where it's a sorcery speed card, it still could be vulnerable to getting knocked out. Whereas, and it's easier to counter a spell than to destroy a land in a lot of cases. There's a lot more counter spells than there are destroy this thing that is a lot of times untouchable. So I think my pick would be, if you release it out there, it'd be a little bit easier to control than, let's say, something that's going to mana ramp where you can't really counter it, or you really can't destroy it that often unless you're playing, for the most part, red. So,
okay. Well, it's easier to counter a spell than it is to blow up a land, but it's also easier to functionally reprint a spell than it is to functionally reprint a land. They couldn't functionally reprint Gaia's Cradle as a land without making it an enchantment, basically. Whereas Time Walk has gotten a lot of reprints in the form of Time Warp, Capture, Jing Zhao, Temporal Manipulation, Part the Water Veil. You have a dozen variants of it that were perfectly fine for standard, whereas Gaia's Cradle, they couldn't really functionally reprint it. So the fact that remains, like, if you want more Time Walks, you can just maybe do a 4-mana Time Walk, and that would be more powerful than Time Warp, but still not breaking a card from the reserve list, whereas you can't really do any alternative to Gaia's Cradle but Gaia's Cradle.
All right. So, okay. There's a lot to unpack on that one. Johnny, you still with us?
I think he's done.
Do I have to be?
Okay. Johnny, your Mox Diamond, yes, that was a near and dear card to my heart. I am going to count it as far as a reserve list goes, because they did do that workaround once. They even tried to print Sliver Queen, oversized, and everyone, even with that kind of workaround, they haven't attempted a workaround as far as the reserve list goes since. So, yes, Mox Diamond, I think out of the three that you guys have mentioned, would have the least negative impact. I think it's the least powerful of the three you guys mentioned so far. So
there's also precedent for reprinting it.
Sure. Yeah, and there's that too. So, Coach, Time Walk, fucking seriously? No, but I mean, but it's just a reprint. I didn't say reprint for standard. You just want another printing of it. Maybe, you don't have to, it doesn't have to just like jump right into standard and break that. But, it's just a hard, I mean, kudos for going with the gumption of picking take an extra turn for 2. But woof, that's a rough one. And then but I did like your points as far as Gaia's Cradle, it being a land a little bit harder, especially nowadays, to remove. But that goes into Jason's argument. In Gaia's Cradle, it's mana ramp, so it's not as offensive as a Time Walk, so to speak. Taking extra turns, but mana ramp can get really dangerous as well. So let's hear your final thoughts, starting with, I'm so lost at this point, Coach.
Is it my turn? I thought it was Johnny that would go back up.
Okay, Johnny, go.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I don't know how we're doing this. Johnny's been sitting on the sideline. His voice needs to be heard.
That's true.
My voice, the voice of the.
You're out of the penalty box.
Sorry, penalty box. I'll find my way back to that penalty box. Don't you worry. All right. No, I honestly, I'm still sticking with Mox Diamond, even if it had that from the vault reprint. The people lost their minds and stayed on the reserve list and never happened again. It was the one card It was the one card that Wizards decided, hey, let's try this workaround with this card. And they did, and they got burned. So at least it was on their radar to try it out. And it goes everywhere. Jason, you even said it goes out in sets of 4. So people want that card. Gaia's Cradle, it's going to fit into a green deck. Or if someone's not playing green, it's like, well, I guess I just throw it in there for the extra. It doesn't, I don't know. I just like that Mox Diamond can go anywhere. It's a 0-drop. You don't have to work around. You just put it in your deck and be like, I have a Mox in my deck. Good game.
All right.
There it is.
All right, final thoughts. Jason?
You sound like you're not sure.
Yeah. I'm Ron Burgundy?
How could I be in the middle? How could I possibly be in the middle?
All right, Coach. Yeah, you're right.
Oh. All right, so let me see. I think with the Mox wouldn't be as bad compared to like the Gaia's Cradle. I think the guy, like you were saying, the point you were making, John, was that Gaia's Cradle I think would be far more dangerous, and it would be, I think that would be a little bit over the top. So if we had a pick between those two, then I think the safer bet would be the Mox. However, my card, Time Walk, greatest card of all time, should at least have to be revisited, should have some new artwork. I mean, it's lovely to see, just to get an extra turn, whether it's an EDH, vintage, or not vintage, but legacy also, because it's already in vintage. I think it'd be nice for those vintage players to get a slightly cheaper copy of something that they can use in those vintage super leagues or some of the more professional events they're doing. So yeah, it would be competitive in that environment, and I think it would be kind of a welcomed reprint that you don't have to pay like, $500, $600 for. So we're gonna go with my pick. Let's go for it.
So are you saying your Time Walk is your Tybalt?
You sure did shoot for me on that one.
I mean,
hey, you pulled the Tybalt twice, so you're twice as bad as I am in this round.
It would be kind of a narrow reprint. You're right, because it's currently legal in I guess Cube and Vintage Super League.
No, it was here. I had it. It was just Vintage, where you could only have, it was restricted to one copy. And then Gaia's Cradle. Yeah. Gaia's Cradle is actually legacy and vintage legal. So I mean,
so you're getting more copies in the hands of more people who are currently able to play it. You're able to play it as an unrestricted card in vintage. It gets played in multiples in legacy decks, and it gets played in cubes, and it gets played in EDH. Gaia's Cradle is in such demand that people are starting to use the gold border copies in their cubes just to have them. You would serve the largest percentage of the population by reprinting that card.
Yeah. All right.
We give it to Jason. Jason won.
Maybe. I don't know. You're not hosting this one.
What's the chat say? Chat says Tybalt needs to be taken off the reserve.
The chat, I think, is maybe criminally insane because
no.
I think the chat's streaking too.
But they voted.
with John.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's so hard to give it to. Okay, so Coach, you were definitely third in this round.
Yep.
I mean, you were third as soon as you said Time Walk. Yeah, that was rough, bro. But Johnny, I mean, everyone's picking Mox. I said that's the thing, and and I have to agree with you. Like I said before we did the final thoughts, it would be the most unoffensive reprint. I remember it being heavily played when it was legal in the Type 2 format back in the day when Stronghold was legal. But and Jason, your argument was great too. If I'm just judging arguments, I would have to give it to Jason because I mean Johnny went on timeout. But if you're just trying to convince me what's coming off the reserve list, it's Johnny's card for better or worse. So we have a 3-way tie. So everyone gets to go to the big show. It's supposed to be a one-on-one, but
this was a design flaw. You don't have a playoff round?
Maiden Voyage.
Yeah, Maiden Voyage. There it is. So I gave too much power to the chat. Everyone said Mox. Let's see.
They also said Tybalt.
That's true. That's true.
Why don't we do a Twitter poll?
I think
that's not fair. No,
they kind of void their own vote.
All right. So this one's kind of tough because it's not so much of like a open-ended question. It's more of like a yes or no. But I guess we'll do the best we can. I don't know, Johnny. Do you want to just help me judge this round?
I'll help you judge the round. We'll use the chat. And by the way, chat hearts. There you go.
Yeah, chat. Awesome. It was a moral victory for Slivers.
For the chat.
Moral victory for the producer. So the producer is going to join me over in the judging table. So this is going to be Coach versus Jason for the very first Supreme Verdict. We're going to do. I don't know. I kind of want to do like a literal championship belt for this eventually. Like we could do some shit with this.
Would be awesome.
What'd you say?
That would be awesome.
Of Supreme Verdict.
There we go. A foil copy. That will be. But you have to send that out if whoever.
We need people to go to patreon.com/whatever this Patreon is, and as little as 20 or 25 cents every time John makes a mistake on this episode,
I would be rich.
Contribute to our Patreon and be able to join our chat where you could say the wrong thing, or you could
that's going to win votes. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
You could be our 1,000th subscriber to this channel. After a bunch of people unfollow us after this one's like, I'm from Eastern Europe, sir.
All
do not appreciate that or the weird voice you're doing right now.
All the Slavs. All right. All right, Johnny, you ready? This is with the release. Oh, wait. So Jason is definitely the points leader, so to speak. So you're going. I'll let you defer.
Code for win. It's like you're the points leader, which is our only objective metric. But
I mean, you have a nice beard. What do you want? What do you want me to say? You get to pick if you want to go first or second in this round.
I want to go second for sure.
Okay, he's going to kick the ball off. Coach is going to receive. Coach, are you ready? Johnny, you got to help me out. All right.
I'm never ready for stuff like this, but go with it.
Here we go. with the release of Oops All Planeswalkers, aka War of the Spark, will WotC change the Planeswalker as commander rule?
Is it should or will?
Should or
those
will.
are two different answers.
Give me both. I want both answers. Okay. It's a two-parter.
So
Maiden Voyage.
Wait. Can you repeat? What are you trying to?
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is there's 36 Planeswalkers in War of the Spark. Every pack contains a Planeswalker. So with that many Planeswalkers being infused into Magic the Gathering, should the Planeswalker as a commander rule be changed to where you could use a Planeswalker as your commander? Should or will? Will they do it? And should they do it?
I don't think they will do it.
Okay.
And as far now, part of the commander rule is also the one. Are we also going with like the one copy of each Planeswalker, or can you have multiple copies? Is that what we're also shooting for too?
Just like how they designed that one. There was one run of commander decks that had like you could do the mono blue Teferi. That's where came out. Yeah. So just having a Planeswalker as your literal commander, you could have as many copies of different. Like you could have like all the Jaces in your Planeswalker or in your commander deck or whatever, if that's what you're asking.
I would say no, they shouldn't, or no, they won't, and no, they shouldn't.
Okay. And why?
And why?
Yeah,
that's a lot. I mean, having that limited amount of, I think it was a good thing to not have very few Planeswalker commanders, to where you could bring it out every single chance you could get. I think with something like that big, with that many Planeswalkers, and if you're going to do that in like a commander format, a lot of those cards as commanders would be very broken. So I think that it would be a bad idea to have all those Planeswalkers, I should say, as commander available, like as a commander. I think when you have like Teferi, for instance, was pretty broken when you could do a -1 and untap like four permanents. I mean that's a pretty big thing that you could do. And to have it available to all planeswalkers, basically where you could have them as leaders, I think we're running into a bit of a mess when you're talking about stuff like that. So having to where all 36 of those planeswalkers would be commander ready available, I think would be a bad idea, because it would just lead to a lot more broken like stuff. Or it might just even narrow down to maybe there's a couple of them that would just be super broken, and your other commanders wouldn't be playable. So I just say keep it on the same playing field. You got to get one. If it's commander, keep it all one copy. Can't use it as an actual commander. Go for the legendary creature like EDH was supposed to do.
Okay. Jason, should, with the release of War of the Spark, 36 new planeswalkers infused in Magic the Gathering, should and will WotC remove the rule that they have in place where you cannot have a planeswalker as your commander?
It's not WotC, it is the EDH Rules Committee.
Okay. Or them.
They have said that they will not. Sheldon has said that the fact that Brawl exists means that anybody who wanted to try out their planeswalker as a commander could do so in Brawl. Brawl has taught us another thing, that it doesn't really matter. So as much as my opinion sort of leans, my actual opinion sort of leans to they probably shouldn't do it, I actually don't think it would be that bad, so I'm going to defend that position. People have built this. They've said, hey, what if we tried out the format where planeswalkers are legal? I did a ton of research on this because when there was speculation that they could remove that rule and make planeswalkers legal as commanders about a year ago, it was around the time of GP Vegas a year. So it was maybe like almost like 18.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
So when there was speculation about it, I actually did a ton of research about which planeswalkers would be the ones you wanted to buy. So you could like be ready. The day they make that announcement, you go and buy all of these while everyone else is still trying to figure out what's going on, just to forewarn people. I did a ton of research into it. Some people are like, oh, a Johnny Vengeant would be really bad, and it wouldn't. I don't really think there's any planeswalker that people are building this format. Granted, it's a smaller pool of people, but anyone building this format didn't really find anything broken. Now, the possibility that something on War of the Spark would be broken exists, but I don't think the likelihood of a War of the Spark planeswalker being more broken as a commander than any other set where there are like only 4 or 5 commanders, planeswalkers total, is that much better, because even though there are 36 planeswalkers, they're going to be spread out over, I think, mythic, rare, and uncommon. So I think the uncommon planeswalkers are probably going to be 6 mana and probably going to have 2 abilities. So I don't think those will be a big issue. Nothing as it currently exists is a big issue. So we're looking at maybe 10 mythic planeswalkers total max, which is about as many as any block. And I don't think there's any one given block that's like, oh, this would completely ruin it. And if it did, it's easier to ban one planeswalker than it is to say we can't do planeswalkers as a commander at all. Moving forward, they would test those planeswalkers out as commanders, or at least build with that in mind. So if they did make the switch, they would know before they did that. So they would be able to test them a little bit in advance. So as much as I don't think it's a great idea to do it, and as much as I buy Sheldon's argument that like Brawl is a thing, if you want to test that out, I don't think it would be that bad. Otherwise, we would have already identified something that was a problem. And I really see the likelihood that War of the Spark specifically, as that one set with probably 10 mythic planeswalkers max, being the thing that ruins it when they could just ban one problematic commander. I don't think that's a big issue. So I think it would probably be fine if they did it. I don't think they're going to. And I think Sheldon all but said they're not going to. And Gavin said that they're going to do more to support Brawl going forward. They kind of launched Brawl a little bit prematurely, and they've got some things in the pipe that are going to make Brawl a little bit better. So the fact that that exists, I think if you really are dying to play with a planeswalker as a commander, you could just play Brawl. But even if your play group allows it, you're not going to really mess anything up. So anybody who's already brewing that, in all the internet research I didn't find anything super broken. People are like, a Johnny Vengeant would be kind of nuts, but not really. So it's not that big a problem. They're not going to do it, but it would be fine if they did.
All right, Coach, rebuttal.
It would be to say that you're going to remove just one problematic card is a little bit of speculation, especially when you're getting 36 planeswalkers. Like, what were you saying? Like there's usually about 5 planeswalkers every set, give or take. And so you're going to multiply that by about, you know, what, 5 or 6?
I'm saying you're going to multiply that by 1 or 2. Because you're going to have rare,
what I'm saying,
rare and uncommon planeswalkers that we didn't have them in rarity before. Do you think an uncommon planeswalker is going to be the one that ruins it for everybody?
Could be.
No, but but now
what am I doing? Yeah.
But now you're having what, 10 mythic planeswalkers at the very least. And so
I said at the very most, but fine, we could say that's at the very least. What if there are 20 mythic planeswalkers?
I think there'd be, you know, instead of taking out one problematic card, there's going to be like multiple bannings, because you leave up the, you know, the chance of running one into those powerful cards is going to go up. So then you're going to run into the problem where we have to ban another card, and you have to go into R&D didn't do their job. Like when we ran into like something like the problem with like what was it, the Kaladesh Copter,
Smuggler's Copter,
yes. To the point, you know, I think it's good. You're gonna have to ban multiple cards, and then people are gonna go after WotC, saying like, oh, they didn't do their job. They didn't. There's too many broken planeswalkers. Now we have to ban like 3 or 4. So, I mean, that's the problem you can run to, especially now that, you know, people are just angrier in general. 2019, 2018, people are just generally angrier. So I think when you get to like 10 mythic planeswalkers, maybe like you said a little bit earlier, 20 mythic planeswalkers, even if you upped it, you know, I think 10 mythic planeswalkers. I mean, I would assume there's going to be at least 2 that are going to be broken. And if that's if those are the cards that get it out of hand, I mean, those are the 2 that you banned. So, I mean, and then people are just going to come after WotC just for messing up like one, like mess up like the Smuggler's Copter incident, or what was it? Attune to Aether. And they just coming after WotC for having that one card just screwed up. And now you're going to have multiple planeswalkers where, you know, planeswalkers are already powerful. And to say there's going to be multiple numbers of these, I think would just be, you know, it's going to be, I think, in my opinion, it's going to be more problematic. So if it does get out of hand with the planeswalker issue, that they're going to be broken planeswalker, then you have to ban multiple cards, which people are going to be super pissed off. But then again, people are going to be super pissed off anyway. It doesn't matter what WotC does. But I think it's going to be more problematic having, you know, an already powerful like card type and then multiplying that by just the mythics alone. If we just say 10, double that, plus all the rares, all the uncommons, you know, you can still run into a problem where an uncommon card is potentially broken. I mean, or a rare, like a Smuggler's Copter. That was what, a rare?
It was a rare.
And that would seem to be a broken card. Attune to Aether was what, common, uncommon? And so that was a pretty broken card. So it doesn't matter what kind of rarity it is, because you could find a broken card in any of those sets. But to do it on a very powerful card type, I would think it's problematic. And so if you have 36 total, then I think the number of cards you potentially have to ban are going to go up significantly, if that makes any sense.
All right. Jason, rebut.
So WotC and the EDH Rules Committee are 2 separate organizations. I don't think we have to care about people coming after WotC R&D for not doing their job when maintaining Commander as a format isn't really their purview. Now, they can say that, hey, we print stuff for Commander, we think about stuff for Commander, but the Commander Rules Committee, which is made up of, you know, they got the advisory board now, and then they have the original people. What they decide really has no bearing on what WotC's doing. They're 2 separate entities for now. So people coming after WotC R&D for not doing their job, that's kind of outside of the scope of their purview. Not really a big deal. You got stuff like Attune with Aether and Smuggler's Copter, which are 1 or 2 mana spells that are in 4-ofs in a 60-card format, versus a card that's probably a 6-7 mana planeswalker, potentially at common or rare in a 100 card format. Yeah, it starts in your command zone, but like you got to build your whole deck around it. Like Attune was a problem because it was a problem on turn 1. Your commander's not going to be a problem on turn 1. So what we have is we have 140 total planeswalkers so far. Over the last 12 years, 0 of them have been a problem. I really don't think that, with Brawl in mind, granted, so they know that they wanted Brawl to be a format where commanders were legal. So every commander in War of the Spark was made with Brawl as a EDH analog in mind. So the odds that they tested stuff for Brawl and it would be broken in EDH, even though they tested it for a pseudo EDH, seems less likely than 140 Planeswalkers over 12 years and there's not a single problem versus 36 Planeswalkers in one set being the reason that you have to ban 3 or 4 of them. I just don't see that as all that likely. I think if Planeswalkers were inclined to be a problem, we would have seen one arise before now. People tried to break Planeswalkers as a commander. They tried very hard. I read everything they wrote about it basically online and researched for an article, and it hadn't emerged. So we've got 5 times as many Planeswalkers as are in this set that are all mythic or rare in the pre-mythic era, mythic power level, versus like a set that's going to have uncommons and rares in it. I think the likelihood that they would have to ban even one is very low, considering that there's not even one problem in the first 140 Planeswalkers they made. So it's not necessarily my opinion that they should do it, but I'm saying it wouldn't be that bad if they did.
Well, but Planeswalker wise, they banned, Jace the Mind Sculptor. That was a Planeswalker that was problematic
in EDH.
Just playing in general. You were just talking about Planeswalkers. Are we talking in just the EDH setting? Because you also mentioned Brawl.
Just EDH.
Okay. I mean, it's. I still.
I mean, that was banned because you could play like 4 copies of it and
yeah.
Versus they didn't ban anything in Brawl where Planeswalkers are legal.
I was just for some reason I thought you were just speaking like in general, like just over the overall scope of Magic.
No, I don't think Planeswalkers are necessarily unbannable per se, but I don't think if Jace the Mind Sculptor commander decks are mono blue, which is a weakness, and no one has ever brewed a mono blue commander deck that's like, well, our commander legal night at EDH was run by Jace, and it should be, if this ever became a thing, Jace would be broken. I'm just not seeing that.
Yeah.
All right, so we heard the rebuttals. John, I'm going to confer with my co-judge on this round. So hearing our contestants, our finalists' arguments, what really stuck out to you?
Yep, it's on. I think.
Are you still with us, Johnny?
Yeah, I'm barely. I personally see. I'm on the other end of it. If I had to debate over this, I would have been all for it because I don't think it would break anything. If anything, it would be, I think people would find their answers and figure it out, and then the busted ones, if they needed banning, would get banned. But they would also, as far as EDH goes, EDH is a very casual format. People self-regulate. People figure out their own play groups. It's not like a tier 1 tournament format. So I'm not as worried about things being busted. So I think Jason made a lot of good points, even though he doesn't think it's going to happen because of what's happened with the rules committee. Who's to say, to have this many Planeswalkers hit something, this is very unprecedented. To think there's going to be 36 in an entire set that's standard playable, that's crazy. So I think I would be leaning in the direction of I'm not against it. I would say I would side with that option of it wouldn't break anything, and even if the rules committee isn't going to do it, if they decide to test the waters like they did with the Unhinged set, then yeah, I could see it happening.
Who convinced you more? Did Jason convince you more that it should be?
Jason. Basically, Jason made some good arguments,
and that's not even
job, coach.
That's not even the point I would necessarily defend. If I'd have gone first, I would have said what you said. I was just playing devil's advocate.
But I think Jason made some points with that kind of research that they didn't really find anything broken, even though parts of the community were saying, oh, this would do this. Watching the Magic community have knee-jerk reactions about everything has taught me to just sit back and watch and wait for the dust to settle. And I think if someone like Jason Alt went and did the research and it's yeah, nothing's busted, and I'm all right, nothing's busted.
Also, the Magic community can solve. The Magic community is like a million monkeys on a million typewriters, right? So you got smart people in R&D and they spend 6 months on it, and there's well, the 5 of us couldn't come up with anything. but like the 5 of them in 6 months, that's like 30 seconds of like millions of Magic players solving the problem. They'll find something busted within minutes. They're like, oh shit, we didn't think about Felidar Guardian with Saheeli. Whoops. Like we here with this shit and we didn't think about it. And the Magic community found it in 15 seconds of the card being spoiled just because there's so many more people working on it. So like, yeah.
I'm going to make an unpopular statement and I'll die on this hill, but I just feel like they knew the pressure cooker that this would be as far as taking into all formats into consideration, especially EDH. And I think that this is going to be like, on surface value, it's just like it pops. It's just like, oh my God, 36 planeswalkers. Oh my God. But then once we start opening the packs and whether they just be costed astronomically or just underpowered astronomically, I think that they really had to kind of sit down and I think like Tom Ross and so, some like really competitive players lended their expertise on this set. So I think they took that all in consideration. Purely from just an argument standpoint, Coach, I mean, you brought up some real good points. It's just there's always something that falls through the cracks. And I think, just a summation of what your argument is there's going to be just with the sheer amount of planeswalkers infused. And that is just a very, planeswalkers are a very powerful card type. And they have been since the inception. Since Lorwyn. Absolutely. So there's always, with 36 chances, that's 36 chances of something going wrong. That's the biggest game of Russian roulette that they played with this card type, especially. And they didn't even just do it in like a master set, right? They should have saved like Oops All Planeswalkers for like Modern Horizons, because that's going to have like new cards for other Eternal formats. Not so much like here's the most powerful card type in a standard format. That's ballsy. But with that said, I think that they went through fine-tooth comb, really kind of dotted the I's and crossed the T's on this one. So chat wants Mox Diamond to win.
I guess Mox Diamond wins.
I'm not surprised.
So Jason, me and you lost. So Johnny wins.
Yeah. So razor thin again, but Mr. Jason Eleanor Alt is the winner of the very first Supreme Verdict. Coach, what a fight. But
it feels good winning the die roll like that. With my own loaded dice.
Right.
Remember,
coming up one.
Hey, I'm just saying 12% in the Twitter polls, and I didn't get last.
Yeah, you overperformed.
No, that was, I mean, you
I
are.
would have been real embarrassed if I got in last place.
You've proven a very formidable format. Johnny, what happened?
See, I tricked you. That Vorthos episode.
Too.
Yeah, that Vorthos episode. I voted for Jason. Are you kidding me?
I think we all voted for Jason.
No, I think I tricked everybody with that like sweet little hot take on the Vorthos and the Vorthos episode. People are like, "Oh, Johnny knows what he's talking about." Psych! It's almost April Fool's.
Hey, you're a wild card, man. Sometimes you just pull it out of your ass. But all right, Coach.
I did in the Dario Argento episode. I was like, "Oh, I got a good quote from him that I looked at a second ago because that's all the prep I did."
Hey, it's like our 5th most viewed episode.
Getting there.
Yeah, it's getting there. Coach, you really gave it a good fight all the way up to the end. What do you think went wrong, and what do you think's going to go right for you on the next episode of Supreme Verdict?
Picking Time Walk was a bad idea.
It really was.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that too much. Had I picked a slightly better card, I think I would have had better chances.
Yeah.
So that's all I got. I don't know what to work on because I didn't know what the hell I was getting myself into. So prep work, absolute 0.
Yeah,
out of my ass.
The same for John. He did 0 prep work also.
This is true.
It was super evident.
Really bang up job over here on this side of the microphone. Jason, you've taken down the first inaugural episode, the main voyage of Supreme Verdict. What do you think went right, and who do you want to see? Who do you want to take on in the future of this league?
Oh, I thought since I won, I don't have to come back.
That was the prize.
I thought that's how that worked. The prize is I don't have to do this anymore. You got to keep doing it until you win.
He gets a bye week.
Who do I want to take on? I want to take on someone who knows less about Magic than me.
Well, that was me.
Throw some names out there. No one's off the table. I'll pull some strings. I have 1,000 subscribers now, Jason. This is a real quality YouTube.
Well, you have 998 subscribers if you don't count me and my dad. So,
dirty.
Hey, it's 1,007.
Okay. So we should bring Rafael Garcia on here. He's a super fan. He would be.
All right. Shots fired.
Not shots fired. I think he'd be a good guest, and I think that's if he goes to patreon.com/they-said-we-said or whatever, and
there we go,
and really donates, he could someday find himself behind the microphone.
Patron. Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe we need a a 3-judge panel, and those 3 people just kind of keep their mouth shut and listen to other people talk about Magic better than the judges might, like me.
No, it's either Coach or Johnny that's going to be in the hosting judge seat next week or next time we do this, because I'm jumping in the ring as well.
I am voting myself for the judge's seat.
I don't know. Johnny kind of sucks, so he should be the judge.
I gotta
honestly.
So now I gotta be QB1. Thanks.
Yeah. Dang. I don't know. We'll figure all that out later. But yeah, just let us know in the comments, which you have been doing all night. If you
they'll say they want Mox Diamond to come back next episode.
This motley crew.
You guys should be Tibble.
Sorry, man. I think I broke chat.
You're champion, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Belt. Not yet. You got to win a few more before we put a belt on that. But yeah, that was Supreme Verdict. Where can everyone find you, Johnny the producer? Johnny the producer, Slivers.
You can find me here. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Slivers. You can find me on Instagram at Johnny Slivers. You can find me on YouTube, the Cackling Carnarium, which doesn't have its own actual YouTube thing name URL, but yeah, it's okay. You can find me here. And once a month, I put out an article with Cardsphere talking about EDH that I hope is. Anyway, there it is. That's me.
All right. Yeah. You've had better nights, Johnny. I'm not gonna lie. Coach, where can everyone find you, sir? The card at the Coach Bazaar.
Everyone can find me at. Man, I even forgot my own YouTube channel.
I just wanted to screw you up once, and it worked.
I know you did, ass. Everyone can find me at the Card Bazaar YouTube channel. You can also find me on Twitter at the Coach at the Card Bazaar CC. You can also find me podcast form now with the audiobooks on Anchor FM. And according to Anchor FM, I'm now also available on Radio Public. I'm also on the Google Podcast. I'm on Breaker, and I'm on Spotify now.
Ooh,
so big time. I got 1 view total, so I need some more views for the podcast. Hey, people wanted the Thrain audiobook in podcast form, and I just threw it out there. It didn't take long, and 1 total listener. Yeah, that's it.
You should print that out and put it on your wall like your first $1 bill.
like the what was it, Mr. Krabs and the Krusty Krab, the first $1.
Yeah,
I might do that. Good idea, Johnny.
All right. Good ideas. That's what this show generates. Jason Elliott Alt, when you're not winning these game shows and talking movies, where can everyone find you?
Well, speaking of talking movies, Mr. Dunning and I do a podcast I'm very proud of called, what's it called? It's called Director's Cut.
Director's Cut, Jason.
We said YouTube Network. We're very proud of it. And we do that. Is it semi-monthly, bi-weekly? I don't know.
Yeah, should it be bi-monthly?
It sounds like it should be twice a week.
Was it twice a week?
No, it's not twice a week. Good Lord.
No, it'd be twice a month.
Semi-monthly is every 2 weeks. We do
bi-weekly. Bi-monthly.
Yeah. It's like when it's like your paycheck. You get paid every 2 weeks. You get Director's Cut every 2 weeks.
That's what I'm very proud of that. if you like live stand-up comedy, you can, and you're in the Michigan area, you can catch me April 4th. I'll be emceeing for the great Eddie Pepitone at Shakespeare's in Kalamazoo.
Oh yeah, man.
Check that out. You can check out my other podcasting adventures. I am on the Brainstorm Brewery podcast, which is youtube.com/brainstormbrewery or brainstormbrewery.com. We're available on Stitcher and iTunes and all the places you can consume podcasts. I'm also on the Money Draft podcast, which is semi-yearly. We do at least 2 a year of those, and I'm very proud of that podcast. I'm a writer for MTGPrice.com and CoolStuffInc.com, which used to be Gathering Magic. I'm the content manager for EDHRec.com. I was responsible for launching the EDHRecCast podcast. So if you don't have enough podcasts to listen to, you should definitely check that one out. I'm not directly involved, but I did handpick the team, and it's a solid team. And man, is that all I do? Boy, I sound like a slacker.
It is a solid team. They are all coming on a Hivebind soon, actually.
Yeah, so I write, I podcast, and yeah, I do comedy. So I'm every night of the week I'm busy. So you can
we just need
check me out on Twitter at what's that?
Man, I needed to get him. I need his voice so we could do a card anthology, John. We need Jason to do like one of
why John? You're talking to me. He's right there.
I'm talking in third person, son. All right. I think Jason needs to do a card anthology episode and just kind of go over some of the history of some of those later sets. If Jason would be good for it.
Yeah, I don't say no to stuff, which is why I'm here.
If there was a no, it would have been tonight, and he's here. So
yeah, John's like, let's do a thing. I was like, yeah, I don't need sleep. I'm only having a kid in 7 weeks, so yeah, let's get in my podcasting now while I still can. Check me out on Twitter at Jason E. Alt, and that sort of has some like links or at least the names of the stuff I do that you can Google. And yeah, I'm naming my kid after a Magic card. So what?
It's awesome.
I have a daughter named Liliana, and we picked out the name Soren for a son, but we're spelling it with an E, so it looks like I'm not quite as much of a nerd.
So good.
Her whole family was like, "Oh, you picked a nice Danish name. That's so cool." I was like, "Yes, Danish.
It's a Slavic name. Yeah.
That's where Soren's from."
You have it, so you'll have a Soren, and I currently have a 5-year-old Saren. So yeah, that's cool.
Named after the gas?
Named after.
Saren from Mass Effect.
Yes, thank you, Coach.
You're welcome. I'm still waiting for that Mass Effect episode stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Was mustard and chlorine taken? Why Saren?
Yeah, because she's. Yeah, it's pretty.
That's a cool name. It's like Soren and Sarah combined.
A little bit,
right?
Yeah, and I like Sarah because I like Jennifer Connelly because she was on Labyrinth and Phenomena, and we're talking about Labyrinth on Cult of Films on Thursday. What a segue. Woo!
Ass to ass.
Yes. Oh, no. Muppet at. Okay. You can find me right here on this very channel. We said, thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to get mushy real quick. 1,000 subs. God damn. Why do you like this? Is a weird channel. 50-50 talking about movies and Magic the Gathering. Used to talk about Walking Dead all the time. The cartoons, all the stuff. I want to thank the permanent members that are on this channel for making it what it is, because I couldn't have done this alone. Like Johnny Slivers, the producer. It's not just like a funny name. He is actually like the producer of the show. He gets all the talent and everything. So I want to thank him just for getting us to this point. Coach, I've known you since the beginning. You reached out the very first Magic Deck Tech I did almost 2 years ago. And Jason just fucking taking director's cut to a whole new level. So thank the three of you. Also, huge thanks to Cody Smith from Fish and the Mirror Folk Podcast for doing a really fun cartoon podcast called U-Tunes that we do maybe like once a month, maybe once every 2 months, but still a great time all the time. Huge thanks to cardsphere.com for sponsoring the channel when it shouldn't have been sponsorable, but thank you so much. Cardsphere.com, the best place to buy, sell, and trade your paper Magic the Gathering cards online. Thank you to inkedgaming.com. If you go over there, enter promo code HiveMindMTG, get 10% off. And just thank you to everyone, everyone that's ever helped the channel, the Proxy Guy, Ristic Studies, just these huge Talarian, took a chance on this channel, being a guest on the Hive Mind when he probably shouldn't have. All the amazing women that's been on this channel as well. So yeah, until next time, I hope everyone liked this. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.